Hi there. In this video, I'm going to talk about the post-processing of your submissions inside the MS form, some career-related questions and CV. So you might remember when you did this form, you were asked 3 questions, one of which sounds a bit odd, but the first is, when you were young, what did you want to do when you grew up? The second was, what career do you want when you leave university? And this third one, which is the one I mentioned before, sounds a little strange, but it's very important. If for the rest of your life money was not a concern, then what would you do? Now, while this might seem a bit odd, this is actually probably one of the most important questions you'll get to ask yourself going ahead, and I'll explain why when we get there. So next I'm going to show you some snapshots of the results, so a couple of word clouds taken from the form, and in particular this is a snapshot of some of the answers given related to the first question. When you were young, what did you want to do when you grew up? And typically what you see is when we're young and we're thinking about what we would like to be when we're older, we normally have quite a wide range of answers. There's quite some variety in there. It's quite diverse. So some people said they wanted to be sportsmen. Some people said they wanted to be an author. You might see some typical careers in there, such as maths teacher and finance. And some people just wanted to go to the moon and beyond. Now, what happens or tends to happen is then the next question turns things around and you see some more focusing. So this second question, what career do you want when you leave university? Well, here you start to see answers become a little more focused, and this is because you are coming to the sort of age where you're thinking about what it is you want to do and for the rest of your life, and that's not far away. So here you see a variety of careers that actually relate to the degree that you're doing. So people say finance, there's data analyst in there, data science, there's teaching, of course. Sometimes this is a consistent theme with what people would like to do when they think about it from childhood and even in adulthood. And you can see a range of careers here that you could easily associate mathematics with, marketing or advertising. Although it doesn't sound like that, a lot of this is going on in the background. And here some research related kind of careers, research is also in there, and mathematics, and this is normally tied to that. Now you'll see on this I've highlighted some things which actually we can continue to supply essential skills in these directions as we go ahead in the program. That's not to say the other types of careers are not important, but there are other mechanisms which you might be able to receive information about those potential careers, and I'll tell you a bit more about this later on. So going ahead, if you were thinking, say, to doing some sort of research in mathematics, or looking into data, or being a data analyst, or looking for that teaching career, or possibly earning lots of money through actuarial work as a financier, then you might be interested in the following activities that come up in the program. So this is sort of what will go on really in your program if you're interested in those kinds of things, and it's good for you to try and engage in them. Again, just because we don't have activities closely linked to the rest doesn't mean listed here doesn't mean that there are none. Okay, we try to ensure that people get enough info and enough experience in those directions as we go through the program. So this is what your future's looking like. Right now, you're looking into the group project 1, but soon what's going to happen is you're going to hit, for instance, group project 2, which is a financial mathematics style group project. So this is of particular interest to those looking to work in finance. It's a sort of initial open problem into this area. Then the last group project on the course gets you to start thinking as a sort of data analyst. And we have a business problem solving scenario where we have to work as data analysts and try to advise a business. Those interested in teaching, there's also some internships in schools that the School of Computer Science and Mathematics can help to arrange as you go through your degree. There's also in year 3 studies in mathematics education module, and I think that's essential if you are looking to do a career in mathematics. If you're thinking about research and finance, well, those 2 modules at the bottom might be of interest to you. In particular, this one gives you a lot of experience in sort of more advanced research skills and in solving problems in math biology using partial differential equations and ordinary differential equations. Similar to this is financial mathematics. So you may think when you do the project in this module that, well, it's fairly easy. All financial maths is just making sure I've added or subtracted, multiplied or divided numbers together to get the end result. Maybe check things in a spreadsheet and it's that easy. Well, in fact, the kind of content in advanced financial mathematics, which you can meet in year 3, involves what's known as partial differential equations. I mentioned them earlier. And, well, these are very useful in describing the behavior of stocks in finance. So keep this in mind. This is all good activities, good studies for you to do as you go ahead if you're interested in those kinds of careers. Next, I just want to highlight this final point, which is if for the rest of your life money was not a concern, then what would you do? Now, most people start to give answers like, well, what I would do is I would go shopping, or I would go on holiday, or I would do nothing. Actually, I'm not asking you that. What I'm trying to get you to do is think about something that you would like to do and that you wouldn't mind if you were paid or not for this. Okay, so in other words, I'm asking you, what is it you really, really would enjoy doing? The reason why I'm asking you this is because from a very young age, it happens, and this happened to myself as well, it happens to everyone in fact, that you get locked up in the idea that you have to have a good career that earns lots of money, and that way you'll be set up for the rest of your life. Well, money goes a long way, but what you don't want to be doing is doing a job that you don't like. Okay, that's very important to your, first of all, personal happiness, but also ensuring that you don't spend the rest of your life doing something that you hate. So bear this in mind. So what you need to think about is the connection between the answer to this one and the answer to this one. Okay? So if the answer to both of these questions happens to be the same thing, then that's fantastic, because what that is telling you is you would do that job and you wouldn't mind being paid, and you wouldn't mind not being paid because you enjoy it so much. And in fact, in the second case, because you enjoy it so much and this is such a good thing for you to be involved in, you do as much as you could in that job without worrying about being paid. And the fact that you actually in life would be paid for it is just an added bonus. And this is the kind of job that you should be looking for, okay? So if your answers are different, so if the answer to this third one is actually different to this, try to rethink what your answer should be so that these 2 questions have the same answer. Because at the end of the day, you're looking at a career that you will do for the rest of your life, and what you don't want to do is to be or don't want to be involved in doing is being a slave to wage. Okay, so think about the answer to those 2 questions. Very important. Now, I asked you to create a CV, and well, the CVs sent to me were fantastic on a whole. A lot of these CVs also need some improvement, as is usual, and you'll see in the notes that I put in the KLE related to this. In fact, CV is something you should be looking to improve on a regular basis. That's especially if you're looking for jobs in the graduate job market. I just want to tell you a bit more about a specific part of the CV that could do with some boosting. This relates to the use of language to describe what you're doing, and it relates to emphasizing your skills. And in fact, all of this is linked to the third one, which is how do you evidence the impact of your degree? So what I see people are able to list roles and emphasize what they do, but maybe they're using wordier or informal language when they do this. And because of this, what's happening is that they're not getting a nice, concise, crisp sentence that explains in a very professional manner what it is they're doing. And there are techniques to actually improve what it is you're doing on your CV. A lot of people forget to emphasize certain skills, and I put some sort of information around this in the KLE just below this video, but it's super important that you also understand how to emphasize skills that you get from your degree, i.e. evidence the impact of your degree. Okay, what employers are looking for is in particular looking for what's known as transferable skills, and I'll tell you a bit about this in a second. They're basically skills that you accumulate and you can carry across into different kinds of working environments and roles, as well as having subject-specific skills, but showing you have transferable skills gives you some ability to dynamically adapt to scenarios, as well as having those subject-specific skills. Okay, so how do I help you with this? Well, what you can do is you can Google Kiel program specifications, and hopefully if the search is successful, you click the top result and you can go to this page, which gives you the undergrad specifications for every single program in the university. So what you're looking for is on this page, it's not shown, but there'll be a list of starting years. So you need to look for your starting year, and then you can start, once you've selected the right tab corresponding to your starting year, as you can scroll down. And when you scroll down further enough, what you end up with is the School of, it says computing and mathematics, it might say computer science and mathematics now. But what you see is these hyperlinked mathematics, combined honours and single honours degrees, and I think even integrated masters is in there somewhere. And there'll be much overlap with what's written here anyway, if it isn't. And these are hyperlinked, click them and you can go on inside. So click the one that corresponds to your degree. When you go in, you're brought to a PDF. This PDF gives you some summary about the programs within the university that this refers to. These are some familiar details, hopefully, and so I won't say much more about those. In particular, what this document attempts to underline is what you get from this degree when you're doing it and when you finish. So you get subjects, knowledge and understanding, subject-specific skills, intellectual skills, and key or transferable skills, including, and in there is employability skills. Now, if you're looking to boost your description of skills, this is the sort of area you should be looking at. There's also ways in this document or things that you can utilize to boost how you discuss subject knowledge and understanding. Okay, and most people, when they list their degree in the CV, what they tend to do is they say, okay, I'm doing modules, this, that, the other. For instance, calculus, algebra. These are very common terms to some people. But then you have a module like this one, which is investigations and problem solving, and then it's God knows what that means actually, because that means a lot of things to a lot of people, but you know what we're doing in this module. And you are in fact doing a lot of activities which contribute to broadening your skills. In fact, what you're being supplied with is a lot of the last one in this module, key and transferable skills. Okay, so just have a look at the language. So here it says successful students will be able to demonstrate knowledge and understanding of appropriate mathematical methods and techniques in the areas of. And you probably see some things that you recognise there and some things that you don't. If you don't, that's fine, you'll recognise what they are later on. But here, in fact, look at the language that's being used. It's very concise. It sounds very professional. And it's not a list of modules. It's a list of topics. Okay. This is some text, what I'm trying to underline here, that you can borrow, readjust, insert in the CV when you discuss your degree. These things do mean a lot to a lot of people who've studied maths, even people in engineering and physics. Well, it depends what career you're going into, or finance, but they mean a lot to people in those areas. It's much better to do something like this than to just say, I am studying, and then you start reeling off modules, or I studied. This is a more grown-up way to discuss those things. So think about how you dress the story around your degree. Use this document to do so. This isn't all, by the way. I mentioned people sometimes have trouble discussing their skills. In fact, they miss some obvious skills. A lot of people miss the fact that they're good at compiling documents on computers, you know how to use software, etc. And they never give examples around what it is that they've used this for. In particular for the degree, there's a whole host of skills that you can bring to light in your CV. And you can, again, use the kinds of phrases that is going on in this program specification. So if you go to subject specific skills, look how it describes what it is that you're doing. Okay, so it doesn't just, for instance, I'll take an example. It doesn't just say set up problems and solve them. It says, look at S2, comprehend problems, abstract their essentials. You're going to get a lot of experience in this. Formulate them in a symbolic form, i.e. in mathematics, to facilitate their analysis and solution, and understand how mathematical and statistical processes may be applied to them. There's a lot of experience coming in this module related to the latter. There's also other modules in the first year as well that help you to do exactly this. I'm not going to focus on this point alone. I'll move on to something else, but please take a look at this. Try to use this kind of wording to concisely get across a message concerning the skills you learned on your degree. They're called subject-specific skills. Now, what about the employability skills, which is what you are getting in this module? There's a whole host of them here. And in fact, you are involved in activities that are giving you a lot of this here at the moment. Soon we're going to go on to activities that start testing your ability and enhancing your ability to do other kinds of skills like this. Of course, we are doing this as well at the moment, working effectively with technology, but can you see it's the way that these things are put across in the document. The document is here to help you try to get across ideas in your CV in a more professional, concise way. It's a single sentence if you notice most of these. It's not a paragraph. A lot of people in the class like using paragraphs to describe things. if you can get everything down into that nutshell, then think about the employer who's having to read hundreds and thousands of CVs. You are showing to them that you know how to get, first of all, a message across, but also that you have the right skills that they need. They'll glance with one eye open on the diagonal at your CV, so you've got to be good at getting the right messages in at the right time. So think about this. Now, I did talk a bit about language used in CVs, and you can borrow that style there. If you want to know actually what modules are giving you all those skills, there is a table later on in the program spec, and it will list the modules, and then you can map these modules back to the subject-specific skills which I mentioned earlier. Okay, so this is a way of, if you don't know what subject-specific skills you are receiving on modules, look at the table, look for the module, and then look to the left. It tells you everything you need to know. Finally, just going back, I mentioned about the language used, and here this is using language to enhance the way you talk about your subject-specific skills in the CV. The door swings both ways, and what I mean by that is it's not just the language inside the program spec that can be helpful. Think about the way people speak, write, etc. in that chosen career. Try to use their own words and fire it back at them. These are often contain buzzwords, jargon, etc. But the thing is, they recognize these words. So try to find, if you're applying for jobs, documents, things related to the job application process, which uses those words, and try to incorporate this into what you're presenting them, because they're likely to catch an eye on these things as they go through the document. So again, they'll do things in a very concise manner, i.e. explain what they do. Try to use that as a way to tie what you do to them in a concise way. All right? Okay. So, finally, one other thing about different kinds of careers. You can Google careers and employability, Keele University. If you don't know by now, a lot of things are just easily reached via Google for Keele. And inside this webpage, when you go in, you can see there's, it's not a full list here, but essentially there are all sorts of facilities that can help you in targeting that career that you would like to do, that you would, remember, enjoy doing. This is essential. So you can, of course, browse through careers online. You can actually book an appointment to see a careers consultant, and you can get an idea as to what careers events relevant to what you would like to do are on the horizon. Careers are based in the library. Either check out this website, there are more options further down here, just scroll down the page, it's not shown, or go to the library and have a chat with someone in careers. Okay? And with that said, if you have any questions related to this, feel free to ask me in sessions, not just this week, but in going ahead, because we have still quite a bit of time in the module. Thanks for your attention. I hope this is useful. Try to combine it with the advice on the KLE, and see you soon.